Hey everybody, I'm John Granado. That's Lance Zerline. You can hear us mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet so you get all of our content here at SportsMap HOU. Lance, a lot of information come out in the last few days all about James Click and how the era ended. Michael Schwab did a nice piece. Then Jeff Passett wrote his Jim Crane hit piece. I mean, there's so much negativity about this James Click thing. Considering that this team just won a World Series, how much of this negative press is maybe because of the scandal? People still don't like the Astros. How much of it is sour grapes that the Astros are winning now, even though they're not cheating anymore? I mean, is this still all about that people just don't like the Astros?
D, all of the above. I think it is highly unusual. When's the last time you brought up the fact that it was in the 40s, the last time a general manager lost his job or no longer had a job after winning a World Series? So this is pretty unusual. We don't ever see it in sports, basketball, baseball, football. It's pretty rare. So I think that's part of it. It's easy to say, what in the hell's going on over there in Houston where a guy builds a bullpen? And James Click, I mean, let's be honest. I get that Jeff Luhnow's built out this team, but you can't take away Stanek. You can't take away Neris. You can't take away Montero from what James Click did. So he did a nice job doing that. But at the end of the day, one thing we know about Jim Crane is he wants certain guys in certain positions. And it just became clear from the 1 year offer where where Click barely got a raise, or a smallish raise, I guess. That was basically telling you, I don't want you to be here. And Click and Jim Crane mutually parted ways. But I think Jim Crane is a guy who says, look, I don't care about appearances. I want things to work the way I want them to work. I think it's that simple. Yeah. And I think I understand from the outside, even to us, it looks a little strange because we never see this. But I think, Jeff Passan has a history of coming after Jim Crane, maybe understandably so early on when all the Brandon Taubman stuff went out there for having a front office that was a certain way. But at some point it feels like it's kind of a little bit sour grapes or an agenda at some point.
Well, listen, James Click made the mistake of fouling Jeff Luhnow, okay, because that was a guy, he was accused of a toxic work environment, of driving people, of being feeling like he was superior, of making tough decisions and going after it. And let's face it, I think he had a personality that was a lot like Jim Crane's. And James Click didn't have that kind of personality, and that's what Jim Crane is looking for. So no offense, James Click, you're just not the guy that I want to work with on a daily basis. Sorry, so sorry. But that's simply the case here, and maybe he's going to be able to find that guy. We'll talk more about it in just a second, but I first got to talk about how during those playoffs and, well, even before the playoffs and even after the playoffs now, I'm still drinking Coors Lights. I still want to enjoy my cold, clean, crisp, refreshing Coors Light. I still want to keep Texas chill, even though we got a little colder weather now. You see, we're wearing sweatshirts now here in the city of Houston. We still got to keep Texas chill, okay? Because it's right around the corner when it's going to get warm again. But even when it's cold out, I want a cold beer. I don't want a warm beer. I want to know my mountains are blue, and I find it every single time with the world's most refreshing beer, Coors Light. Now, by all accounts, Jim Crane has always been hands-on. There are red flags here, though, aren't there? I mean, all of the people that have left this organization, all of the really, really good people, I think it would be really good if maybe a Sig Majal came back, maybe if a David Stearns came back, because all we see is exodus here on the field and in the front office, everywhere with this organization. I think it would be a positive if we found somebody that wanted to come back and work here. Yeah,
I think so. And a lot of the exodus is people getting better jobs because they're on a winning organization. I mean, that's a lot of it. It's not the people. There's a lot of guys who haven't left just because they don't want to be here. It's because they get better jobs. They get offered really good jobs because they're part of a winning organization. And teams typically will poach the best from the best organizations, and this has been a phenomenal organization. I do think, though, when it comes to sustaining a product like you see the Astros putting out there, this has been a great run, but making sure you understand what the structure of salary should look like, how you maintain your minor league system, how you maintain, your foothold on finding talented Latin American players. These are all things that have been critical in the Astros' success, especially their 2 World Series. The Latin American talent that they've learned to discover and develop. I mean, that's been huge. And so I think there's a lot of different things, including being smart with your money, because I don't think Jim Crane's ever going to have one of the top 3 salaries, team salaries in the league. So I think you need to be smart with your money as well.
Yeah, I think you hit on something there is that Ocampo might be a huge, that's a red flag right there.
That's a concern.
Do you have somebody that's going to be able to go to those Latin American countries and sign guys like Ocampo did? I think the Rafael Montero signing was a little bit of a red flag. Although Jim Crane has been involved in every big negotiation. I mean, he's not doing Dubon's, he's not doing McCormick, he's not doing that stuff. But what he's doing, Verlander, and he's signed, and he's going to make sure you ain't signing nobody to a $30 million deal like Montero got without Jim Crane's approval. In this case, he did the whole damn thing.
Yeah, one would think that would be the case. And that move for me is a little concerning because it's not, look, I've learned not to question things. Whatever the Astros have done, it's worked really well. And so the status quo looks pretty good to me. Now, I guess the argument could be made for James Click in that regard, but I think you can maintain status quo even if you brought someone else in who maybe has had former ties with the Astros. But the Montero signing just seems out of character for how the Astros have A, handled the bullpen, and B, would handle a contract for a reliever. It just seems unusual.
Yep, no, it absolutely does. We'll see maybe more unusual times ahead.